you cannot find a CBT therapist to save your life.
And I
That
can almost
I,
guarantee you, you cannot find one that takes insurance.
not
They're all
even
on cash.
not they're all cash. They start at
Mm.
800 at $180 a week, as high
Yeah,
as $300 a week.
yeah,
And even if you have the $300, they have waiting list.
yeah,
And
Um,
that's probably our biggest barriers. We have a lot of patients who don't come in because they can't afford it. But we
yeah.
have enough patients who need it that will pay for it, or and they're not, a lot of them are paying for it out of pocket because it goes to their deductible. So they have insurance, but it's not paying for it. And that's probably our biggest barrier. The other barrier is getting testing approved. A lot of times we
Yeah.
have to spend a lot of time on testing. But yeah, so our model about 20 years ago, one of the moms of one of our families was getting her PhD in psychology. She needed to do her clinicals. And so she did it embedded in our clinic as a part of her training. And then we hired her. And then she started recruiting, and we've just gradually recruited people out of the university based setting, provided them with clinicals when they needed it, and taken advantage of that opportunity. And I would say the psychologists love it because they could go out and hang a shingle, but they like being embedded in the pediatric practice because they have direct interactions with the primary care docs. And they like managing patients with pediatricians better than with psychiatrists.
yeah,
Just throw
yeah,
meds at kids. We really appreciate their input. And I need their input. When Dr. Davies messages me in our EHR and says, this kid's anxiety is not going to be managed by CBT alone, this kid needs medication, my nurse can call and get that kid scheduled for later that week when I have an opening, and we get them on medicine right away. And so having that immediate feedback is great. But the cost is a huge barrier for families. And
I
some
have a
of our
similar relationship with Dr. Karen Larson here in Northern
Mhm,
Virginia, and she's phenomenal. She's a motivational psychologist.
mhm,
Her practice has school psychologists that do the IQ, reading testing,
mhm.
motivation, maturity, because every child is different, so they may be
Yeah.
struggling for a different reason.
Mhm,
And I love working with her. And she's not expensive. She's at $180 an hour. It's the same kind of relationship. She'll call me and she'll say, I saw your patient Johnny. I don't think that a stimulant is good for this kid.
mhm.
Why didn't you change
Right.
him for Strattera? That seems to work better for this kid with dual anxiety and ADD, ADHD. I've had a lot of luck. And sometimes she'll call me and say, you see this patient, other pediatricians seeing them, but they won't listen to my suggestions to switch the meds, and the mom wants to try it. And I'm like, sure, I'll be happy to talk to them.
Mhm,
And the same thing, she says, the adolescent girls who are struggling, they seem to do better on Wellbutrin than
mhm,
any other SSRI, but you can't find the evidence-based medicine to show that that relationship is gold. Gold. It's just
mhm,
gold.
Yeah.
mhm.
That's
Um,
called collaborative care,
Mhm.
chronic care,
that's how we
practice
usually do it.
transformation, the practice of the future, the way it should be.
That's how we
And
usually do it.
we should get paid more for doing that
Exactly,
Dr.
because
because
it
that's
has
my
value.
argument. Do you know
It
what?
has
When I,
value.
when I do insurance negotiations, all this stuff that we're talking about,
Yep.
that's what I bring up. And it says RBK should be paid more than Doc in the Box down the street.
Mhm,
Dr. Hackle says that we are in a state of crisis. The barn is burning in pediatrics. I think we're in an inflection point. And I'm not good with language, but what's the difference, right? I think that the US-based pediatrician for far too long has advocated the responsibility of acting like a specialist in managing chronic care disease. They focused on there were so many ear infections, pneumonias, bronchiolitis, impetigo, cellulitis that you could fill your appointment book, see 40 patients, and never treat ADD, never treat asthma, never treat obesity, never treat this because your schedule is booked.
Correct. That's the way it
Um,
used to be.
I think we're better than that. So I say it's an inflection point because I think we have to now pivot to the three legs of this stool. We have to do well child exam, which I'm in the minority with my fellow pediatricians. To me, the well child exam is a free opportunity to find disease and address it early. All the other educational components can be done through video or a handout. I'm looking for the BMI change, the blood pressure's elevated, the kid's not doing well in school. What is it that I need to intervene early to change the trajectory of that disease?